Hello everyone, this is Rachna Sharma and you are watching Food Tech Geeks, where I upload career guidance videos, lectures, tutorials, demo videos and practice questions for food science and technology. So here I am back with another set of questions for food tech competitive exams, and the questions in this video are from Rajasthan Food Safety Officer exam 2019. So let's prepare with these questions. Question number 1 says, what is the limiting value of water activity for growth of microorganisms? And the options are given here. So before going into the answer to this question, let's first understand what is water activity. So water activity is the free water available for microbial growth. We know that water is a very crucial part of food, and not every water is available for microbial growth. Some of the water are bound water, which are bound to the chemical structure of the food, and certain water is freely available, and that freely available water is available for microbial growth. So if we want to inhibit the microbial growth, we need to reduce the water activity. We need to reduce the amount of water which is being available for microbial growth, and that is why in the question it has been asked that what is the limiting value of water activity, means what is the limit by which we need to reduce the water activity to inhibit the growth of microorganisms. So the answer to this question is option A, that is water activity 0.60. If we reduce the water activity to 0.60 or below to this, then there will be no microbial growth in the food. And if we go to the more part of this, so here in the diagram you can see that the food has certain amount of water which is available for microbes to grow, and that is known as water activity. And the formula to represent water activity is partial pressure of the food divided by partial pressure of pure water. And everything about water activity is being discussed in lecture 3 in the series of food fundamentals. You can go through that chapter also, and there you will get a better understanding of what is water activity. So if I talk about the microbial growth and the water activity relation, so in this diagram you can see that on the x-axis there is water activity, and on the y-axis it is moisture content. So here on the x-axis, if you see, the bacterial growth inhibited at the water activity of 0.90, and the yeast activity is inhibited at water activity of 0.80. While if we reduce the water activity to 0.60, even the molds growth will also be inhibited. So 0.60 is that particular water activity at which the growth of each and every microorganism will be inhibited. So therefore 0.60 is the desirable water activity to inhibit the microbial growth. So the second question is, aflatoxin is produced by, and the options are given. So here in this picture also you can see that the maize has been affected by certain aflatoxins. These are the aflatoxins which are present on this maize. So this is the picture of certain aflatoxins on maize. So the correct answer to this question is option C, that is aspergillus. So aflatoxins are those toxins which are produced by fungi. So aspergillus is a type of fungi. So these are produced by fungi, and they are mostly found on agricultural crops. For example, maize, cottonseed, spices, tree nuts, etc. So aflatoxin is an example of mycotoxin. Mycotoxins means the toxins which are produced by fungi. So aflatoxin is an example of that, and this aflatoxin is very harmful and dangerous. It can lead to acute poisoning, it can damage the liver, and ultimately it can lead to death. So here in this picture also you can see various examples of the foods which are affected by aflatoxins, which include groundnuts, rice, oilseeds, sorghum, chili peppers, dried fruits. So mostly every agricultural produce is being affected by these, and the dairy products can also have aflatoxins if the feed of the animal is contaminated by aflatoxin. Next question, captopril is an example of. So what is a captopril? Is it a protein, food color, algicide or fungicide? So the answer to this question is option D, that is fungicide. So captopril is a fungicide which is used to control fungal disease of fruits, vegetables, ornamental plants, grasses, and it is also used as a seed treatment. So but the use of this is being debated. By the 2010, no country were identified who were allowed to use captopril on food crops because of its harmful effect. It can cause skin infections and damage to eye also. So therefore the use of Captafol has been restricted, so they are not in use nowadays. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 4, which is match type question. There in the list 1 there are minerals, and in the list 2 there are the functions of these minerals. So we know that minerals are very important for our body. There are certain micro minerals and there are certain macro minerals which are very important for our body. So these are the example of macro minerals: calcium, sodium, iron, iodine, and their functions is given. You have to correctly match them. So the answer to this question is option A, that is calcium has the function of blood coagulation. Sodium has a function of maintaining the electrical equilibrium in the intercellular fluids. Iron has a function in the blood cell formulation. The deficiency of iron can lead to anemia. And the iodine has the function in the normal functioning of thyroid hormone. So in the deficiency of iron, there can be the problem of goiter, that is known as thyroid problem. So these are the functions of the major macro minerals. So also here in this picture also you can see what are the various functions of different minerals in the human body. So you can go through these. Moving on to next question. Consumption of raw egg white causes deficiency of. So niacin, pyridoxine, folic acid, biotin. So in this I have given you the structure of egg. So it has a yellow portion which is known as yolk, and it has a white portion which is known as albumin. So if we consume this albumin part, there will be deficiency of which of these options? So the correct option to this question is option D, that is biotin. So let's first understand what is the relationship between egg and biotin. So here in this picture I have shown that egg has yolk part and albumin part. Yolk part is rich in biotin. What is biotin? Biotin is also known as vitamin H, and it is very important to metabolize the carbohydrates, fats, and amino acids in our body, and therefore it helps the body to convert the food into energy, because when these carbohydrates, fats, and amino acids will be metabolized, then they will be available for our body as an energy source. So it also has the function of strengthening the hairs and nails, and it is water soluble vitamin, and it has a number of health benefits. But the white albumin part of egg has avidin. Avidin is a glycoprotein, and it can bind 4 molecules of biotin. Here in this you can see that the avidin has bind 4 molecules of biotin and has made a complex which is known as biotin avidin complex, and this complex is not being absorbed by human body. And as this is not being absorbed by human body, so our body will not be able to absorb biotin. So there will be a deficiency of biotin if we consume raw egg white. So what is the solution to this question is, when we cook the egg white, it denatures the avidin, and then it will not be able to bind the biotin. Therefore it is always being advised to cook the egg. It is not advised to eat the raw egg, because if we consume the raw egg white, the avidin part will bind to the biotin, and then biotin will not be available to the body. And just now we have discussed what is the importance of biotin in human body. Moving on to the next question. Normally dash is used for butter packaging. So here are certain examples given: aluminium foil, polypropylene, parchment paper, polyethylene. So for butter packing, the requirements are the packaging material should be moisture proof, grease proof, impervious to light, and should have a good strength. And all these things are being found in parchment paper. So the answer to this question is option C, parchment paper. Parchment paper is also known as butter paper. Here you can see this parchment paper. The butter is being packed in this parchment paper. Next question. Which of the following is used as ethylene scrubber in storage of fruits? Sodium chloride, citric acid, potassium permanganate, calcium chloride. We know ethylene is also known as a ripening gas. It helps in the ripening of fruits. So when we store the fruits in cold storage, we want that the ethylene gas is not produced much, because if the ethylene gas will be produced, it will ripen the fruit fast and it will reduce the shelf life of fruits. So therefore we use certain scrubbers which scrub the ethylene gas which is being produced, and thus they will help in extending the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. So therefore we use potassium permanganate as ethylene scrubber. And how it is being used? So here in this diagram you can see, in the storage house we have certain filters which has these potassium permanganate or various ethylene scrubbers, and with the airflow these scrubbers get into the air, and thus they will scavenge the ethylene gas, and that is how they will increase the shelf life of fruits in cold storage. Next question. Indian Food Safety and Standards Act, that is FSSA Act 2006, contains dash number of sections. So it has total 101 sections, and all these are divided into 12 chapters. So the FSSA Act has 101 sections which are being divided into different chapters, and the total number of chapters is 12. Next question. Fat content of whipping cream ranges from. So the answer to this question is option A, that is 30 to 40%. The whipping cream must possess 30 to 40% of fat content, and that is different based on the type of cream, either that is heavy cream or light cream, but the main range is 30 to 40%. Last question of the video. The type of can which is used for canning of acidic red fruits. S enamel, A enamel, R enamel, C enamel. So first of all, let's first discuss what is canning. So canning means fruits and vegetables and certain other foodstuffs are sealed in an airtight container, and then they are sterilized by heat. And by that process, the shelf life of fruits and vegetables increased to a large extent. Their shelf life can be extended up to a year. So that is the known as canning process. So for the canning process, we seal our fruits and vegetables in cans, and these cans are made up of steel plates and which are coated with tin. So the coating with tin is very important so that the steel do not get into contact with the food and it do not get corrosive. So that's why we have to coat it with tin. But in many cases, there could be some small microscopic spaces which are left uncoated. And due to this, the food may get contact with the steel container, and that will lead to the discoloration of product, also the corrosion of tin plate. To prevent this discoloration, we lacquer the can. So for lacquering, there are two types of lacquering which we use. One is acid resistant and the another one is sulfur resistant. So the acid resistant cans are known as R enamel cans, and the sulfur resistant cans are known as C enamel cans. So the acid resistant cans are used for the foods or the fruits and vegetables which are highly acidic. So for the red acidic food, we will use R enamel can, while for the alkaline foods, for example peas, corns, beans, which are non-acidic, we use sulfur resistant cans which are known as C enamel cans. So therefore this answer to this question is R enamel cans. R enamel cans means acid resistant cans which we use for the foods which are highly acidic, and the sulfur resistant cans which is known as C enamel cans. These cans we use for non-acidic foods that are alkaline in nature, for example pea, corn, beans, etc. So here you can see the canning process. So this is the canning process in which we seal our fruit and vegetables in a can, and then we thermally process this food so that their shelf life could be extended. So this is how a canning process is done. So that is it for today's video. I hope you must have learned a lot new things with these questions. So stay tuned for more such videos, and you can also get connected to us with this email ID, that is foodtechgeeks@gmail.com. You can send your queries to this email ID. I will entertain all these, and please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.